Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. Hi. So 10 days ago, my family got in touch with me after 10 years of not speaking to me. I am 31 female, and at the age of 21, soon after I graduated from college, I decided to cut ties with my family and move away from them. The reason was the way they treated me in comparison to my sister. I have a twin sister. Let's call her Rebecca. She is 12 minutes older than me, and for some reason my family has always treated her far better than they treated me. She is pretty much the golden child of the family, and has always been that way. I don't know why, but my family has always preferred her over me, even though I have achieved more than she has. I have always been the better student, better at sports, and even better at things she calls herself the expert in, like art. You name it, I'm better than her at it. And the reason for that is because I was always trying to outdo her as a child, hoping that maybe that would make my parents like me better. If anything, it just made them like me less, because to them it probably seemed like I was trying to do it on purpose to put my sister down. It wasn't like that. Honestly, I just wanted them to give me the same love and affection I saw Rebecca receiving, but never me. They always supported her, enrolled her in whatever classes she wanted, bought her whatever she wanted, and she had my parents wrapped around her finger all her life. For me, it was completely different. Every time I asked for something, I was told not to act entitled and spoiled. Even when it came to college, she said she wanted to take a year, which turned into 3 years. She never ended up going to college, so she doesn't even have a degree. I, on the other hand, got accepted into a reputable business school because I had good grades and I needed money from my parents to cover my college tuition. But they told me I would have to take out a student loan and pay it all off myself in the future because they did not think they needed to sponsor me after I turned 18. That was really hurtful, but I needed them to help me with the loan, so I didn't say anything then. I accepted that they were never going to love me as much as they loved Rebecca, and just accepted my fate. I didn't really keep in touch with them while I was in college, and only came back home for the holidays occasionally. Even then I wouldn't talk to them much because after high school, I had distanced myself emotionally, so I wouldn't keep getting hurt. When I was about to graduate, I invited them to the ceremony but never got a response. I tried everything. I called, sent emails, even thought about visiting, but they didn't respond to any of it. I figured they just didn't want to attend. It wasn't until after the ceremony that I found out from relatives that they hadn't been able to attend because my graduation fell on the same day as my sister's first day of art school. At 21, and of course her first day was far more important than my graduation, so they couldn't let her be alone. It was crazy because she wasn't even going to a reputable institution. Just art classes at the nearby community college half an hour from our house. That's the day I realized my existence didn't make a difference to them, and they'd rather I not contact them again. The message was loud and clear. I decided I didn't need to pretend I had a family just to console myself. Not having a family was better than having one like this. I stopped speaking to my parents, blocked them everywhere, and I was done with it. I did the same for my sister. Rebecca and I never shared a good relationship. Because of the love and affection she received, she always assumed she was better than me, even though I had plenty of evidence to prove otherwise. I think she knew it, which is why she was so insecure and always tried to put me down. The joke's on her, because now I am in a far better place than she is. She was always arrogant and smug, so we never got along, and I didn't regret blocking her and cutting them all out. After that, I didn't have any financial support and had to worry about paying off my student debt, so I took the first job that came my way. Since then, I've worked to prove myself and show I'm good enough on my own and don't need my parents to survive. Things were difficult at first, But I had good friends from college and school who were always there for me. Now I'm in a really good position financially and mentally. For the past 5 years, I've been working at a vegan products company. And recently, I've been considering starting my own business. I've been really into the vegan lifestyle and studying it in depth for the past couple of years, even though I'm not vegan myself. I think it's a huge market to tap into, so I started planning something of my own. I spoke to a couple of people willing to join my venture. The plan was to work on my business model over the next few months and then quit my job once I had a couple of investors on board. But last week, I received news that my father was on his deathbed, and I had to come meet him. It had been 10 years since I'd spoken to anyone in my family, and I was surprised they were reaching out. When I learned he'd been battling cancer for 3 years, I dropped everything and went home. It was already too late. He was in a really bad condition, and there was no going back. Probably as a last-ditch attempt to make things right with me, or maybe just to talk about my sister, they invited me to visit him one last time. When I saw him, I almost broke down in the hospital. I had never seen my dad like that. My mother hugged me. It was really painful. For a while, I forgot everything from the past and just worried about whether he'd make it. Rebecca was there, but I didn't speak to her. She didn't put in any effort to talk to me, just made a face and sat in the corner the entire time. 2 days after, my father passed away. Everyone had known he wasn't going to make it, so my mother and sister had already made funeral arrangements. It didn't take long to wrap things up, so I was able to come back home. Unfortunately, before my father passed away, I was made to agree to something I really didn't want to do. On the second day of my visit, Rebecca went home because she was exhausted, so it was just my parents and me in the room. They started talking about my work. I thought it was innocent. My father was literally on his deathbed. I didn't think they could be up to anything nefarious. I told them I'd been working at a successful company for the past 2 years, and I was doing well. They heard me out and congratulated me, and then they started telling me how badly Rebecca was doing. They said she dropped out of community college in the first couple of months and never went back. She had no degree, her grades weren't great, and she hadn't done anything until 25. When they pressured her to get a job, she did, but never lasted more than 3 to 4 months. She'd quit and say the job was too much and didn't pay enough. It didn't make sense. She was in low-paying jobs because she had no degree and wasn't willing to put in time and effort to move up. They'd been trying to explain reality to her and make her independent, but she didn't care about the future and took everything casually. She quit her last job 6 months ago and was just sitting at home. They were worried and wanted me to be the one to look out for her because after my father was gone, my mother was too close to retirement and couldn't keep working just to support a grown daughter. Honestly, I had no idea how to respond. My dad was suffering, and I didn't want to break his heart after so long. We'd gone 10 years without contact. I had mixed emotions. I told them I was planning to start a business, and this was not the time to take on such responsibility. I knew Rebecca was a liability and had no interest in making her own money. She was comfortable living off others. My father was passing the baton to me, telling me I had to look out for my sister. I understood why he wanted it, but I said it would not be possible since I was planning to quit and start my business, and all my money would go into that. He told me they'd already spent a lot on healthcare, and he wanted my mother to be comfortable. He knew I'd look out for Rebecca, and he counted on me. He kind of forced and manipulated me into agreeing to take care of Rebecca's future. He made me promise I'd put my business plans on hold until Rebecca was at least a little financially stable, and that I'd look out for her and have her back until then. I didn't even know how long that would take, but I still said yes. I didn't feel comfortable saying no to a dying man. Maybe that was stupid, but I don't think many could do differently. They also told me exactly what they wanted. Rebecca was in a relationship with a guy from school and planned to visit him in another city in the same state. I couldn't figure out why they couldn't visit each other more often. Jared at least had a job and could come see her. They were doing long distance. I knew this guy and the kind of person he is, and I instantly knew it wasn't good for her. They said she'd been talking to him mostly online for 2 years, and he'd visited during the holidays. That's the only time they were physically together. Let's call him Jared. He doesn't have the strongest values when it comes to women. In school, he was notorious for flirting with every girl and got busted for cheating several times. I heard later he'd already been divorced once for infidelity. I tried to explain this to my parents, but they said Rebecca really liked him. They'd seen them together during his visits, and they believed they were meant to be because they looked perfect and in love. I had a bad feeling because long distance makes cheating easier. My parents wanted me to pay for her flight tickets to go see him in the next couple of weeks because she would be weak after our father passed. And they wanted her to have somebody since my mother would be busy with legal formalities and I'd return to work. They also said I should be prepared to cover wedding expenses in the future. Convinced that Jared was perfect, they wouldn't listen. I agreed to the tickets. It felt pointless to argue. After my father passed away, I pulled Rebecca aside at the funeral and warned her about Jared. I'd known his Casanova behavior for a long time and didn't think it was good for her. Like my parents, she shook off my warning and said he had changed. She said they were in love and he would never cheat or hurt her. She thanked me for being concerned, but said she'd just appreciate financial help and that I didn't need to be her parent or have any emotional bond with her. It wasn't required. That was mean and hurtful. After that conversation, I decided to do exactly as she said. My father had only told me to look out for her financially, nothing emotional. So I kept myself emotionally distant and focused on work. After the funeral, I came back home, and a week later, my mother told me to book flight tickets for Rebecca to see Jared. I did what she asked. I didn't check up on anyone after that because I got busy. Yesterday, an unexpected visitor showed up at my doorstep. Rebecca. She'd taken a bus from Jared's city to mine since she was too embarrassed to call me and didn't want to go home either. She could afford bus tickets, so that's how she came after traveling for 10 hours. When she showed up, she was exhausted and in tears. The second I opened the door, she started crying and told me I'd been right about everything. She'd planned to surprise Jared. When she arrived, he was spending time with another girl at his place. She confronted him, and he told her to mind her own business, said they weren't exclusive, and he could do whatever he wanted when he wasn't with her. She was furious, after 2 years of being fully committed and thinking about marriage. They fought in his hallway. In anger, she lifted her duffel bag and hit him. A chain on the bag caught his eyebrow and he started bleeding. She panicked and ran, got to the bus stop, and took the first bus here. Now she wanted my help. She said she was ready to learn how to be independent and fix her life, and that I needed to be the one to do it, since I'd been independent for almost 10 years. She wanted me to teach her the ropes in my line of work and give her a job, not as an employee but as a partner. It was a lot to process. Before I agreed to anything, I asked whether Jared had decided to press charges. If he had, I wanted nothing to do with her. What she did was wrong. No matter what Jared was doing, she had no right to get physically violent. That's grounds for charges. Even if she'd run, he could find her and have her arrested. In that case, I wasn't going to clean up her mess. She admitted he had pressed charges, and she had to pay a huge fine as compensation, which is why she was here. I told her there was no way I'd help beyond booking her a ticket home. I didn't want to get involved. She got upset and reminded me of the promise I'd made to our father. I told her the promise didn't matter anymore. I'd been coerced into it, and it was obvious she wasn't going to do the right thing. I wasn't going to keep cleaning up her messes. I want to start my own business, and I do not want her to join me. She's a liability. I booked her tickets to go back home. Told her after that she was on her own, and I was going back to no contact. It had been just 1 week, and she'd already screwed up massively. None of this would have happened if she had heeded my warning and stayed away from that guy. I told her to go to the airport and wait there. I had work to catch up on. She couldn't argue because I was already booking the tickets, so she headed to the airport in a cab. I thought that would be the end of it, but now my mother is pissed about what I did. She believes I should have been kinder and taken Rebecca on as a partner since she wanted to clean up her life. She says this was my opportunity to be helpful, and I declined because I was selfish. I don't think I was selfish at all. I was helpful. I booked her flight home. Now she has to figure out how to pay the fine to Jared, but that's not my business. She chose to hit him and visit him in spite of my warning. My mother keeps calling and messaging to remind me of my promise to my father and telling me I'm not living up to it. Am I the asshole for refusing to clean up the mess my sister made despite the promise I made to my father on his deathbed? OP was coerced into a deathbed promise after a decade of being ignored and scapegoated. That's not consent. That's pressure. OP already fulfilled more than was reasonable by paying for flights. Meanwhile, Rebecca ignored OP's warning, assaulted someone, and wanted partnership instead of a job. Absolutely not. Boundaries aren't cruelty. OP need to keep her distance, launch her business, and not let golden child emergencies become her business model. And now let's hear community's opinion. Early-stage ventures can't carry passengers. A co-founder should bring capital, skills, or customers. Rebecca brings none of those, and a pending reputation issue. Your mom calling you selfish is classic enmeshment. She wants to outsource the lifetime subsidy. You can be compassionate without being responsible. If you feel generous later, offer a short list of free courses and a simple 90-day plan as a boundary, not a commitment. Your parents created the mess by propping up Rebecca and then tried to secure a caretaker via guilt. Rebecca's choices, quitting jobs, long-distance fantasy, violence, are on her. I'll give you a tiny everyone sucks here only for agreeing to the promise. But honestly, in that moment, most people would have. You corrected course quickly, and that's what matters. Keep NC, block the flying monkeys, and document any harassment. You've spent your whole life being the backup plan for people who never treated you like family. And now they're mad you won't sacrifice your dreams for them again. Typical. You didn't abandon anyone. You simply refused to enable them anymore. Your dad's last wish was just another way to chain you to Rebecca's failures. Let your business be the new start you deserve. Success and peace are the best revenge. Update 1. It's been 3 days since my sister visited and I turned her away. My mother kept trying to contact me. I blocked her because it was getting on my nerves. I don't owe anyone help. Yes, I made a promise to my father, but I was manipulated and coerced into it. It wasn't something I wanted to do. Even most people would say it's manipulative to contact me only when he was dying, and even then, just to secure future help for Rebecca. He still manipulated me into doing something for the golden child. It's unbelievable. He was still my dad, and it hurt to watch him die, but I don't know how to feel. I don't miss him. We never had a good relationship, and I hadn't been in touch for 10 years. But I feel let down. It was my mistake to believe things could change, or that my family could ever care about anything other than my sister. I'm going to focus on starting my business now. I already lost focus once. I'm not letting it happen again. Update 2. Rebecca reached out today. I'd forgotten to block her. She texted that she managed to pay the fine and doesn't need my help anymore. She also said my mother is really disappointed and never wants to see me again. That's fine by me. I don't want to see them either. They only wanted me for my money, not for who I am, and they're never going to regret how they treated me. I didn't reply. I just blocked her. I'm done. Update 3. It's been a couple of months. Quick update on my business. The model is almost complete, and every investor I've spoken to is interested. I'm going to quit my job and put in my resignation in a couple of days because I'm finally ready for the next chapter. I'm once again no contact with my family, and things have never been better. Going no contact again was the best decision I could have made. This business, this is going to be my new family now.